So, Ali, Steph, welcome to the show. It's very exciting to have you on here. I know we tried to get you on the last day we were filming. We couldn't quite squeeze you in, so it's great to have you here today.
Yeah, stoked to be here. Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about what you've done for us as a business, which has really just been amazing. But before we sort of get into that, Ali, why don't you tell everyone else exactly what Ask Marketing and your VMM model is?
Yeah, cool. So Ask Marketing essentially provides senior marketing strategy and leadership to SMEs for a fraction of the price of what you would pay for somebody in-house. So yeah, you're right. Virtual marketing management, VMM, is something that doesn't really exist in the Australian marketplace to date, and that's, exactly what we're trying to, really bring to the market.
Can you trademark that VMM thing? Have you thought about that? I think maybe.
Yeah, it works. In the works.
That's a separate conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. And Steph, you have just gone full-time into the business, having sort of built up to that. What I want to go through both of your sort of stories as to how, and I think everyone needs to know you're actually sisters, right?
We are.
You can't tell, you're sisters.
ASK.
ASK.
Yeah.
Is that what it stands for?
Oh my goodness.
I did not know that.
Alexandra and Stephanie King.
Oh my, I did not know that.
It's so funny.
Yeah, so that's ASK.
Not many people pick it. But
yeah.
That's really...
Oh, that's crazy.
I feel really stupid now.
Mind
no,
blown.
so many people say this.
Yeah.
I should have... No, anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
That's awesome.
But yes, we are sisters.
So, Steph, tell me about your story. I think everyone likes to hear how people have sort of got to where you are. This business has been going for, what, a year now? Is that about right?
No,
4 years originally, and then
wow.
the virtual marketing management concept inside of the business is since last October.
Okay, and you've gone full-time in, the last 2-3 months?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your story.
Yeah, I have quite an interesting story. So my background is actually exercise science, so very different to marketing.
Yep. So different.
Yeah, so different. Started off, so studied exercise science. Absolutely, it's still a huge passion of mine, both of ours actually, but jumped in head first doing exercise science.
What is exercise science?
That is a great question. So I guess the reason I'm probably not in it still, so it's kind of a combination between, so it's a kind of a pathway to either physiotherapy or in my case, I wanted to do dietetics. So it was kind of...
Okay. What's dietetics?
Oh, so nutrition,
Right.
highly qualified nutritionists that
cool.
can essentially provide nutrition advice and meal plan guidance to people who are looking for...
That was your plan when you went to uni, right?
100%.
Right.
Loved, absolutely. That was my vision. And I think that kind of changed throughout my path. I think I got to the end and wasn't sure where to go to from there because I'd kind of turned off the dietetics train. Yep. And yeah, I guess I sat at the end of 3 years of uni and went, where to from here?
Yeah.
Ali at that stage was well into her marketing career, and I guess I mean, being so close as we are, we just started talking, I guess, about marketing, and I really found a love for what she did and hearing what she did every day. And so went back to uni. Yep. Did a Master of Business and majoring in marketing. So another 2 years on working full-time in a marketing internship role. Yep. And loved it. So it was kind of completely different, but I think, and we can go into this more, but I think we grew up surrounded by entrepreneurs and business owners, and that was kind of always our goal at the end of the day. So so we were both in marketing, quite complementary skill sets. So I kind of have been working in the health science space in a marketing role for multiple years, and that kind of combined both passions for health science and exercise and nutrition and marketing. So worked up in numerous roles in that space, and I guess complementing Ali's skill set in marketing, we kind of sat at the dining room table one day and thought, let's do it. Let's do this together.
So many decisions are made at these dining room tables, right? So many. It's crazy.
So many.
Yeah.
And what about you, Ali? Were you always marketing?
No.
You weren't either?
No. So
I don't think I know this either.
Yeah, so I studied business for 3 years as basically a reason to get a degree that would enable me, to kind of head into to do something, right? And at school, I was really kind of into food tech in year 12 and kind of like won a bunch of awards.
Food.
We're real foodies,
right?
like we're real food and wine people,
Yeah.
The European gene. And anyhow, so I did business, and then I actually specialised in hospitality and hotel management. So I was working at Sheraton on the Park at the time, the hotel, and I was working as like a leader of the executive club on the top floor, and basically I wanted to, be a GM of a hotel. I've always had a love for hotels. We were really lucky of kids. Mum and Dad took us all around the world, and Italy obviously was
Quite
the favourite.
Staying in them to working in them. It's a very different experience.
And to give you a little snapshot into the kind of key decision, I've never really spoken about it, but it kind of has stuck by me. One Christmas day, I was asked to work, and at this point, our family was still living in the country, not in Sydney, and I had to work at the Sheraton. Anyway, being extremely, close and tight-knit family, our whole family came to Sydney for Christmas and came to the hotel.
Oh.
And I just thought to myself, what is this life? We're so family oriented, we're real morning people, and for me, like getting home at 3 a.m. in the morning, not from having fun, but from working, was just not my kind of lifestyle. And I just remember that morning, like putting a plate down on this gentleman's, table and saying like, "Merry Christmas, sir," like, to this client, and he completely ignored me.
The real life Scrooge.
Yeah.
Bar humbug.
It was horrible. It was really horrible. And I think from that day on, I was like, there's got to be something else. So anyhow, I then finished my degree and applied for a ton of roles, and actually landed my first role, and it was a marketing assistant. And it was within, the biggest distributor of tech in the world. So I basically landed on my feet, and my boss at the time, Andrew Tyler, taught me everything.
So which company was this?
Ingram Micro.
Oh,
so they're the biggest distributor of tech in the world. So I was like running all the B2B marketing campaigns for Nokia, then became Microsoft, like Beats by Dre, Samsung, the list goes on. So I just basically really found my feet, and have worked my way up to most recent, so for around 10 years.
You've been in marketing 10 years?
10 years,
And how long have you been marketing, Steph, now?
6, 5, 6, 7.
So it's quite, and then, so going back to ASK, Ali and Steph King, can't believe it.
Can't believe it.
That's been going 4 years,
Yes.
but it didn't start out in its current form. So Steph, how did it start?
Yeah, so it started originally as quite traditional marketing consultancy. So we were helping small businesses, I guess, run.
Did you execute? back then?
Yes.
Just saying.
Yes. Well, it's a good point, and you understand that element.
Yeah, we
We'll come into that in a sec. But
we did. So it was really that kind of fundamentally consultancy work, but absolutely executing.
You were doing the work. You were essentially selling your time, right?
Yes. Yep. And I guess that was the business for 3 years. And so then, Ali can tell the story about how the VMM, or virtual marketing management, method or service came about. But it was at that point that we really, were looking for, that kind of growth and how we were going to do that.
It's always hard to scale when you're selling time for money. So VMM, as you've coined it, Alice, so when did VMM come in? And did it come in because you saw it as a way to scale, or did it come in because you saw it as a gap in the market?
Yeah, so good question. So until October last year, I was actually living overseas and have done kind of 6 months on and off for the last few years. So I kind of had this perspective of what was happening in the market. Australia typically in the tech and marketing space being a little bit behind other parts of the world, particularly Europe.
Yep.
And anyhow, as Stephanie was saying, we were becoming what you would essentially deem to be like a traditional digital agency. So scaling for us was either going to be with more people and increasing our pricing. And I guess for us, coming back to your question, it wasn't about scalability. It was about seeing this huge gap in the market, which was actually due to my last role before I did take the leap, which was in a CMO, senior marketing manager type role in a fast growth tech startup, where I was brought in as that CMO, being paid accordingly. Thank you for that role. And I guess what that meant for that business is that they couldn't actually afford or stretch their budget to actually fill all of the junior executional roles required under me to basically execute on the strategy that I had ideated, which meant that I became, the most overpaid CMO ever, because the most overpaid, you would say, coordinator, because I was working so Zoom in, Zoom out all the time, which I actually quite love doing, but it's a really inefficient way of working. And so October last year, I'm actually sitting in a hotel room in Sicily, doing crazy hours, both of us were actually, to kind of, capitalise on the time difference, to be quite honest. And Stephanie and I had been talking about it for months, and there was this huge gap in the market where, you speak to any fast growth tech startup or next generation business, and they all have a virtual CFO. Yes. Some of them have a virtual CIO. Most will outsource their payroll to a virtual payroll person. And, this is all before COVID, right? So this is really something that, we predicted and were seeing in other senior roles. But no one was offering virtual marketing management specialised in digital.
Which is weird, because virtual CFOs have been around for ages.
Yes, it's not a new
5,
thing.
6, 7 years.
Exactly. So it was one of those... It was a no-brainer for us.
And I think combine that as well with, for the 3 years and our past experiences in roles within the digital marketing space, we kind of combined that gap in the market with the knowledge that internally, all these day-to-day executional type activities that you do in marketing should be done by an internal resource. By the time it takes for someone to ideate a piece of content that they need to distribute across XYZ channel and develop that, if someone outside of the business is doing that and then delivering it back, and then it just isn't efficient. So you
lose something in the translation.
Yeah, completely. Right? And I mean, if you're focused on product and you need to know the product and the content represents what your product is, there becomes that gap between, someone in-house doing it to someone out of house doing it. So
that's a really good point.
It was a culmination of different opportunities and knowledge that we saw.
Yeah. So then based on that, coming back to virtual marketing management, what Stephanie's just described is this very clear belief and knowledge and, I guess, passion of ours that the junior executional marketer should always be in-house, i.e. employed by the business. Yes, they can be a contractor or whatnot, but essentially what we layer on top from outside of the business, virtually, as the senior marketing manager focused on digital, is all the strategic planning, the campaign ideation, all of essentially what we would call a Bible that we provide to, the junior marketing resources or resource, along with training and guidance and support on an ongoing basis. So the business knows, or the CEO or the founder or the board know that the strategy is being done. It's being looked at from someone with senior level of expertise for half of a fraction of the cost of the 150K salary. But also that the value is being instilled back into the business around training and knowledge and upskilling of that junior marketing executional resource, who otherwise would be a unicorn.
Absolutely.
Trying to do everything with no kind of strategic guidance.
It's a really, I think it's not just that. I think what I love about your model, and obviously you do our marketing, and as you well know.
Yeah.
What I've loved about your model more than anything, and because I like to do things I've never done before. I like to push myself into places I've never been before. I'd never done, as you very still much know, I'd never done any marketing, right? So you guys came up with the strategy, which was awesome. It's the stuff that I'd never considered, right? But then and we will hire a marketing person at some point, but right now I'm the executor. And I think that's a lot of cases for a lot of earlier companies. The founder will be the executor initially. But you've taught me so much. I've learned more about marketing than I cared to even dream about before.
Yeah.
But and you teach and you provide templates and you provide, it's incredible. The service that you provide for the cost that you provide, I think is outstanding, which is why you're on the show.
Thanks.
But also, I think just having someone there that knows their stuff inside out, and you're not necessarily calling on friends, which is always a bit awkward. But I'm paying you, not paying you a huge nothing compared to what your value is, but because I'm only using a fraction of your time. I love the whole model. I think it's incredible, and I think the huge benefit that you're now beginning to realise, and I know, Ali, you and I have talked about this a few times, is how scalable your business can be right now, right? Which it would never have been able to do. It would have been much harder.
True.
You're not selling your time for money now.
No.
You're selling your knowledge for money, and that's it's a product, but it's a virtual product. But it's
absolutely.
I think
how you package it as well.
And I think the training component really is the difference between really a traditional digital marketing agency and us.
Well, they don't tell you anything. They don't want you to know anything, right? Because they want to
Yeah, I mean, each have their place and it's dependent on the business, but I think we're all about, instilling that and empowering and educating that internal resource to be able to go about their day-to-day job with the skills and knowledge they need ongoing. So they don't necessarily need to work with us ongoing for months and months and years. It's putting that value back into the business.
That also comes back to, we were speaking about this morning, and there might be a little cheeky preview to the other side of our business coming soon, but this morning we were only saying, X, Y, and Z. We wish we knew X before we went into before we dived into marketing. We wish we knew Y before we had to learn on the job and stuff up all those things. Like, there's so many components that you cannot, obviously Stephanie's got an MBA. I've got a background in business and marketing at uni as well, and
you don't learn the practical
stuff.
stuff.
It's funny that you say that, because you know what you are. You're the solution to everybody saying, I wish I knew that before I did that marketing. I wish you're saying that you wish you knew stuff, and yet the solution you're providing is actually just that.
Avoids the HEX debt too.
So there's definitely something in the mix that
you can tell. I would love to break a story on Give It a Nudge here. Is there something you want to talk about?
Well, it's in development.
Yeah.
I feel like it's, we've been, I guess, just in the last few months, it's really kind of been trying to, how do we deliver that knowledge and value to more than just our, immediate network that we can service as our team.
We're going global. That's what's happening.
Maybe.
Global ASK.
Secrets.
All right, let's go back to, look, I think whenever you're doing something that no one's done before and it's groundbreaking and it's new, it's fantastically exciting, obviously, but it also comes with its own challenges. One of the things we've talked about a lot on this show with others is that the world has become less resistant to change, and I think that's here to stay because everyone's been forced to change. So I think that's a huge positive. But you started this before COVID, right? And you're trying to get people to change. What's been, and Ali, you can start, and then we'll go to you, Steph, as well, but what's been your biggest challenge in this business so far?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think we obviously took the leap, and I guess the risk that was associated with that in launching the business, launching this side of our business, virtual marketing management.
I think leap's a good. Leap's a good word.
Leap
it's like
is
when
a
you jump
good
over a big gap, when you make it to the other side, it's so thrilling, right?
It's a big leap, and obviously coming with that, came so much education, and by education we don't mean to the junior marketing resources that we're often training. We mean with, to the market. We're bringing something new that you think people are obviously going to understand straight away, but that's often not the case, because essentially what we're providing is not an agency model and not an entirely in-house model. So it's this hybrid that
freaks people out when you bring something new.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
So we took that risk, and I think, I think the challenge with that has become an incredibly steep growth trajectory for us off the back of COVID. So we've been incredibly fortunate and are extremely grateful for being in the place that we are today, which is that we have grown, so steeply over the last...
Exploded, right?
Yeah.
Exploded. This is not just steep, it's monumental.
It's been challenging.
The bags under the eyes.
Absolutely. So coming back to your question, I've forgotten what I was going to say.
The challenge, was the actual lead.
Yeah, you're
and
exactly
actually
right.
having the faith in ourselves and the market and the research that we had done to.
What about the fact that you've only just gone full time, right? I mean, that's a challenge because she's in Sicily, as she said earlier. You're doing another job and you're trying to build a business at the same time. I mean, how was that? Was there a point, I think, where you ever thought, what the hell are we doing? Or was there a point where you just were so overwhelmed but you still pushed through it? Was there a point, can you think of like that? I'm sure there's been a few.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this quite often, business owners have 30 emotions in one day. And that was us, up, down, side. You feel it all.
Yep, you have 30 emotions in this episode alone.
Right?
We're up to 19.
There's always, moments of feeling overwhelmed. But I think, we never went into business together. We never would have considered going into business with anyone else but each other. So I think that is what fundamentally makes this so
Special.
enjoyable.
Yep.
As challenging as entrepreneurship is, and growth, and making the tough decisions, we're doing it together. And I
And it
think
would have messed up with the name, right? If you brought anyone else in. Not that I even thought about this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you'd had someone called Tom, it would have been Taskmaster. That just doesn't.
Yeah. Funny you say that.
Very funny you say that.
No, our partners like to add their first names into the mix as well, because they're the silent
Just
partners.
marketing, ask marketing.
They got no
Anyhow.
idea. No
But
idea.
they like to try.
But, coming back to your question, though, around, the challenge with that, obviously, we are so grateful to be on such a steep trajectory. However, the challenge that I guess we're now trying to overcome is, we've only just recently kind of sat down and had a really honest and tough conversation about what growth actually looks like for us as a business.
Yep.
But more importantly, which is often forgotten, is what growth looks like for you personally. So,
That's a good point.
like it's being entrepreneurial, and you're the epitome of this. But for us, the question is, does growth for us look like bringing on 15 more people? We're a team of 7 now, right? And then we then scale, with our network of specialists. So we're a team of 7. So does growth for us look like being a team of 15 next year, and a team of 25 the year after, and a team of 50 the year after that? Or does growth come in another way? And then from a personal perspective, do we want to manage people? Do we like managing people?
Yep.
Is that enjoyable on a day-to-day basis? Like, what do you value, within your lifestyle and within your business day, and what do you love, and what elements do you not love so much? And personality obviously comes into that.
I love you're asking this so early, because, I've had a few different businesses, and it's not a question I asked myself when I was your age. I ask myself it now, but I've been around a long time. The fact that you're asking yourselves these questions now is awesome, and it will without question help you, I guess, not necessarily grow this business, but grow yourself. So I think it's so cool.
And I mean, I think that, the reason we probably have asked ourselves so early is because we're more than, I think we're twins rather than sisters, we're so close, and I think we're often
I'd agree with that.
in this Thanks, Steve, that's a compliment. We're in this together, and I think if we were doing it as, solo, you'd kind of get swept up on that journey of just thinking about growth, probably from bringing on more people, and
It's just a traditional, and look, you guys, you haven't bought a traditional model to the market, so why should you build it traditionally?
Exactly.
I think we're the type of personalities in general that often, bring things back to reality and go, okay.
Now, I want to touch on something, because I think it's really, really important, and it's not something that I didn't even tell you I was going to touch on this, but I'm going to touch on it because
go for it.
it wasn't in the pre notes that I gave you. But one of the things you've done that has blown me away is your white paper, right? And I know the effort that went into that. It was unbelievable. And I know that it's been out on LinkedIn, and I know lots of people have seen it, and I know I've reshared it, and I know it goes great. But no one, apart from maybe me, because you both told me numerous times, how much work went into that. So who wants to talk about how much work went into that white paper, so that everybody can finally hear how hard it is to create something like that?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're always trying to personally and from a business perspective innovate and grow, and I think we actually took the opportunity in the midst of COVID, in April I think it was, when we started, we sat down and we went, you know what, let's use this opportunity to research, also to validate our offering, because I think we had, COVID...
We took the leap. After the fact, they always say, in the entrepreneurial world, like just jump and then scramble. Just start.
Yeah. So we had the network. We kind of got primary research from 100 SMEs across Australia, and you were one of them. Thank you, Steve. And it was asking the big questions about not just virtual work, but asking about, have you heard of virtual marketing management, or what are the challenges you're facing in your business right now that COVID has kind of impact, and how it's impacted your business. So it really was a validation piece to us, and it really we think back to it all the time about, and to use it as a kind of a point to make further decisions ongoing, based on the amazing research that we uncovered by
The feedback's been awesome, right?
100 people. Yeah.
I think it's funny. It was one of those things as well, like to add to that I mean, we knew we were onto something with launching the virtual marketing management side of our business in October, but I guess it was really validating to get the feedback, but then to also kind of take what people were letting us in on, you know, all of these 100 CEOs of SMEs that we interviewed, and then it allowed us to refine our offering based on that. So we were actually kind of coming back to solving a real business problem, and the real business problem, you know, actually was completely accentuated in our favour thanks to COVID. So as Stephanie kind of touched on, one of the key questions was, how were you managing your marketing function prior to COVID? You know, we're talking, you know, here about businesses who have a marketing department, or, you know, if it's in-house, it might be, you know, 1 to 5 people. If they're outsourcing it, they could be spending anywhere upward of, you know, 10, 15,000 a month on their marketing spend.
Exactly.
So for us, it was understanding what were they doing and how were they managing marketing prior to COVID? And then amidst COVID, how has that actually shifted their focus or been stripped back or reprioritised or rebudgeted for? And then what would they be open to in terms of solving the problem and solving the gap of marketing moving forward? And it completely validated, I guess, what we were doing in the fact that so many people, I think over 50% of the people that we interviewed were actually pulling away from their agencies.
And wanting it, and potentially an outsourced or a different approach. So they were open to the new kind of
COVID worked well for you, basically. I mean, as you know, I think it worked well for us, and I feel bad sometimes saying that. But I think COVID's worked well for a lot of things. Obviously, there's a lot of bad things about COVID, and we won't touch on that because this is a positive show. But there's also been a huge amount of positives, I think, out of it. And I think generally, entrepreneurs as people tend to look for the positives in every negative anyway, and that's
you have to.
Very true.
And I think you guys have really slotted into that. How many hours do you reckon between the two of you put in before you actually published it?
Well,
I remember the day you published it.
I would like to say that we need to give some credit to our incredible previous social media and marketing manager, Lauren, who's actually based in France, in Biarritz, in South France, who probably spent 4.5 months of time supporting the primary research and also the macro and global economic research that went into that.
We can't go into hours. We're talking months.
We're talking about 4.5 months. It's been one of the biggest investments that we ever made into the business, and it's been absolutely priceless because it's allowed us to validate our offering, completely refine and, you know, really kind of hone in on what's important. And
it's been an evolution.
Making sure that we're solving a real business problem and not just taking a stab.
100% you are. I mean, you don't explode with growth unless you are.
Yeah.
All right. Ali.
Yes.
I would have told you about this question.
Yes.
No one likes it. I'm going to have to ask it.
Yes.
A belief that may have changed. And look, a lot of people's beliefs have changed during COVID, but it doesn't have to be a COVID thing. Could have been prior to that. Could have been any time. Something that's happened to you that has changed a fundamental belief that you had.
I think one of the beliefs I had, despite being virtual and digital in almost every marketing role I've had in the last 10 years, the biggest belief that I think has changed and well and truly will continue to stay this way is that a commercial relationship, so a client to a consultant, for example, relationship can be entirely virtual. A perfect example of that, Stephanie and I launched in Melbourne 2 weeks ago. The strategic partner and the incredible investment management company that we've partnered with in Melbourne, we have not met. We haven't met the CEO. We haven't met the head of operations.
On Zoom, though.
Oh, yeah. Face to face.
But I think now that the belief that I had was that, I mean, even throughout COVID, I was kind of thinking, things will go back to normal here. Like, we're going to have to go back to meeting our clients, even though we are virtual. You know, we're going to have to go back to meeting them face to face.
I engaged you guys before I met you phically.
Right. I was still overseas. It was last year.
Yep. And absolutely. And I didn't meet you for ages after avoiding me. What about you? What about you, Steph? Have you got a belief?
Yeah, I'm going to go a bit different and a bit on a personal level. So we, being, I guess, passionate about health and fitness, we are 4:30 a.m. wake-uppers, I'd say.
That's strange.
It's really not that.
I think it's gotten earlier and earlier as we've gotten older. Weird. Anyway, we, we're gym junkies every morning. It was our religion. We, every morning without fail, would be at the gym at 5 doing a weight session or a class, and we never liked training at home. And now our kind of routine has completely changed. To
train at home now?
Yeah. So we include that in our routine, at least 3 times a week because, You don't commute. You spend 20 minutes driving to the gym, fluffing around, 20 minutes driving home, fluffing around, you know, and I mean, you're so much more productive when you can get in, get out.
And it's expensive, right?
It's expensive.
Yeah.
So, and you know, I'm married to a trainer and a nutritionist and a physio, and Stephanie's obviously an exercise scientist. So between our family, we really don't need to be paying $100 a week for.
And I think we look back now and go, we're not sure why we kind of were so anti training at home, and it's just become a new routine.
I was your trainer. I think I'd be worried knowing that everybody there knows a hell of a lot more than I do. Right? So probably is a good thing.
No.
You would be quite intimidating to train.
Oh. Hold on.
I'm not going to touch on.
Yeah, and that's something that we will continue post this year.
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, books, podcasts.
Ooh.
You go first.
I'm on the health and science train again. I'm a go-to for, you know, all the kind of fitness podcasts, but a go-to of mine is the Mind Muscle Project, which is actually hosted by the guy who owns and who trains you.
My trainer.
Yes. Mind Muscle
I've
Project.
never listened to it. I've got it and I need to listen.
Oh, you have to.
I'm too busy training with them.
So they get
amazing.
the
It's an
best
amazing
people
show,
on.
isn't it? It's huge.
Huge. Yeah, and I actually didn't know that they owned Creature Fitness. I just listened to the podcast first. And really, I guess, innovative and up to date with the latest research, and they get great people on. So that's a go-to. The other one for me is Oprah's Super Soul Conversations. I think I need to be
old school, but amazing.
Calmed down often, so it's kind of a bit of a slow down piece for me to listen to, and the guests that she has on is amazing.
Any book that you've loved that's just completely blown you away?
Oh, I'm not allowed to say the swear word, but is it Mark Manson?
You can swear, because I've had a few guests that do it. It just means when I publish it, I need to tick a little box that says the swear word.
Okay, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a.
Oh yes, I haven't read that.
Nice.
It's supposed to be good.
Yeah, do it. It's I'm normally a fictional, swept away by fictional
Mills and Boon.
books.
Yeah.
Jodie Picoult's my go-to.
Yeah,
like love
she's your
and
go-to.
mystery murder, but yeah, that's definitely one to add to your list.
Ali?
I don't have a book, but I'm going to give you 2 podcasts.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've heard of What the Flux.
I have not.
So What the Flux is, it's basically 5-minute business news. Comes out every morning, and it's absolutely
Yeah, you'd love
fabulous because, you know, I love walking in the morning after training or alone, and often I'll listen to my other favourite podcast, which obviously will be this one. But catching up with Carb is obviously, I think, a really notable one that obviously Dan Hakim runs, the CEO of Club of United Business, how we met. Well, not how we met actually, but how we reunited.
Yeah, we met
face to face. But you know, kind of back to what I was saying, I'll often listen to one of those kind of more lengthy 45-minute kind of podcasts during my walk. But the best part about What the Flux is it's 5 minutes.
And
so you know,
3
and
points.
it's 3 really snappy what is happening in the business world today. So you often hear about like some of the big M&A deals happening before they get released.
Okay.
Yeah, add it to your list.
It's 5 minutes. It's What the Flux, Flux.
Okay. All right, last question.
Yeah.
You're obviously going to continue to dominate and grow. So when you are next looking to hire a specialist or whatever it might be, why should someone come and work for Ali and Steph King Marketing? Ask Marketing. I'm going to say that so many times now.
Ask Marketing. A few things. I guess we, you know, we're a high-performing team, incredibly organised. You might know Steve. You know, and yeah, we're fun. You know, we're in this to enjoy ourselves as much as it is for business growth. So.
You're very patient with your clients too, I've noticed.
Which is quite funny because I'm not a very patient person, but anyway.
Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Good relationships.
You only work with nice people.
Good relationships.
That's another good reason to work with us.
Yeah, genuine relationships that we're wanting to
building.
build.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, look, fantastic to have you on. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's so much fun. So good to see you both.
Yeah.
And it's also so good to see not just 2 female founders, but 2 sisters doing it together. I think it's such a cool thing.
Thanks.
So well done.
Steve, thank you.
Thank you.